What is up, guys, gals, and all you awesome gamers out there? It is I, Josh, for Only SP, and today I'm bringing you Total War Warhammer. This is going to be a very quick impression of the early game for the Orcs, which is one of the main factions that I've been playing on this, and it is so fun, so good. I'm a major original fan of the Total War games. I used to play the Shogun game, you know, the original one where it was all pixely, and they all kind of like had little static angle animations and stuff like, you know, the original game. And it was really good. It was so awesome. I remember spending nights, like early morning kind of level stuff, playing that game. I thought it was really good. And then I tried was it Rome Total War? Yeah, Rome Total War, and it was alright, you know, it wasn't the same really. And then they did Shogun 2, which was really good, and there was also like the Civil War one, which I never played, but it did look kind of good. There was like loads of, this is the thing, because like the more you go into Total War games, the more technical issues come with them, which is a little bit worrisome. So like I kind of skipped a bunch of them until Shogun 2 came out, which again was very good, and then they've ended up making this one. Obviously Games Workshop have ended up handing out their license once more, but this time to Creative Assembly, and I have to admit, this game is very good, and for different reasons. The first one, and this one is actually very helpful because you didn't really see this in all the other Total War games, is that they've ended up changing the economy style and even like the gameplay style of all the factions, and so it makes it feel different when you play it. So like, generally what you'd have is, you'd have to, say if you're playing, this is me like basing my opinion on like say Shogun Total War, is that you'd have to have like how would you do it? Like you'd have to have like the populations kind of like, you know, your standard civilians kind of like happy like all the time to make you have more money so you could fund like your armies and like keep your buildings up and everything like that, you know, make everything that to work around like your civilians and your cities. But from playing the Orc campaign, I've realized that things are a little bit different. Now obviously Orcs are kind of like pirates in a way. They are Vikings. They like to plunder and pillage, you know, and it's not about keeping settlements, it's all about destroying things and war. You know, one of their main things is going war. You know, it's that the power of war, which is W like 4,000 A's and then GH. And so like, you have to kind of like stick to that kind of theme of that it's all about battle, it's all about whooping butt, and I love that. I love that you have to actually play like an orc to win as the Orcs, and it's taken me a few run-throughs to actually kind of get that, because originally I walked into this playing it like a Total War game, but you actually have to play it like the faction you are playing, which I think is really cool. So like with the Orcs, you don't really want to keep occupying all these different settlements because Orcs are very unhappy. They always want to fight, and so you always have to make sure that all of your units are fighting at some point in the game, because if they don't, then there's infighting, which means that they become even more unhappy, which means that they have to they have to fight themselves, and it means that you lose units and such like that, or you lose cities. So you can't really manage cities as Orcs, because if you've got Orcs occupying a city, they haven't got anything to do, then they just fight. And if you don't have, and then that's one of those things where if you move that army out of the city to go fight, then there's nothing holding the city, and then infighting's going to happen in that city, and then, you know, it works like that. It's this thing of that you want to have some focus cities, then you want to like send the Orcs out, you know, you want to have like just like one or two, like with like some specific upgrades for like keeping them happy for a certain amount of time, and it's that thing of like doing that over and over, and I like that. I like that you have to fight all the time. So if you are like really into the actual military battles and such, then the Orc faction are really cool for that. I haven't tried the other factions yet because the game is very deep and it takes a long time to get into it. And obviously the game just came out today, but I highly recommend playing it just for the Orcs because they're so fun. And the story's quite cool too. The voice acting is immensely authentic. So if you were like expecting like the actual like, you know, what you'd think the Orcs would sound like in like a Warhammer game, this is going to give you that. I've been like saying the quotes to myself because they're just so fun and they're so immersive. The voice acting is very good in this game. The visual quality is a little bit surprising. I was expecting a little bit more from it, especially after playing Shogun 2. It feels like there's like a little bit of, I don't know, like high contrast in the game, or maybe high saturation. Like, it doesn't feel like there's much shadowing and stuff, and just the visual quality compared to say Shogun 2 isn't quite there, but it's still very good. I still like it. It just feels like there could be like a little bit more to it, you know. It still feels a little bit muddy in its textures, but the units look really cool. The monster design is like really awesome. Like later on you can upgrade to like dragons and stuff like that. Really awesome stuff. And it's kind of cool actually, because in this video you get to see it, is that I actually end up going against what would you say, like a high odds against me kind of battle, where I fight like an army and then destroy them, but then like the backup army comes in and it's like it's all against me, you know. It's this thing where I should have lost it, and you get to watch a battle where I basically kind of like hold my own. I kind of like angle all of my unit formations into a way where basically they walk into it and I win. So it's like, even though they completely outnumbered me as Orcs, and I was obviously playing as the Orcs as well, through actual formation tactics, I was able to win. And I was so proud of that. I was so over the moon that I was able to completely like destroy this army that had so many more units, but I think like double the amount of units that I had, and I just completely trounced them. I completely trounced them, and it was through archers as well, I think, and I also had catapults and stuff, but it was so good, so fun. You see in this video, I think it's the last battle that I do, but really awesome. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you enjoy this video. I'm going to talk a little bit more before we actually end this one, but I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of the gameplay, hear the soundtrack, hear the battling, you know, everything like that, and I hope you enjoy it. The game does play just like a Total War game, so with the actual like cities that you take, you have to like build them up and things, but again, with how the Orcs play, you don't kind of like focus on building up buildings to claim gold and stuff. It's more that you're battling, so this is really cool as well. Is that through playing as the Orcs, you do your battles, which is awesome, which is fun, as you know, but then generally what you'd end up doing when playing like a battle is that the enemy would kind of like run away, or you defeat them and then they'd die, and that was kind of it. But the Orcs have little things as well that they can do, which is really, really cool and very, very charming to their personality of their faction, is that once you defeat an army, you have a choice of a bunch of things. So this is really, really cool, is that you have the choice of either holding them captive, so that if you defeat the army you can keep them captive, which means that you can actually kind of like hold them hostage and barter them for money. The Orc faction is all about gold. They just care about gold. That's all they want. So the only way to actually continue playing as the Orcs is through gold. If you want to keep your armies together, you need the gold, because the Orcs like shiny things, as they like to say. But then they also have two other options when defeating an army as well, which is to kill them all. You can just slaughter the entire captive army, which will increase your leaders, like your faction leaders, kind of like leadership ability, which means that the Orcs fight better. Or, and the last one, which is great, you can eat them. You can eat your enemy, which is just fantastic, which actually gives you a bonus to army replenishment, so you usually get like, say, like 7% of your army back, which I think is really nice. Now, this little battle here, actually, is very, very interesting, because what ends up happening is the AI sits on top of a hill. I've always found that if you're going into a battle against an AI that is sat on a hill, the AI won't move. So one thing I had to try and do was align my units in a way where I could make them kind of come to me. And the really good thing about playing as the faction leader, because basically when you start the game you have a choice of faction leaders, and I'm sure you can unlock more later on, you know, and if you like beat the campaign or fulfill certain requirements. But with this faction leader, he comes with like one stack of catapults, and so I thought to myself, if I'm able to align these dudes just right, I can maybe like lure the enemy army off the hill. And I think it does, like in a way, like I set them up in a way where the AI army knows that I'm just going to catapult them while they're on the hill and they just start attacking me. Now, my general tactic to playing as this faction leader's kind of starter set is by having all of my melee units in the front, having my archers in the back, or, and this is really, really cool, is that I'll try and do like a cone, which is kind of like my little, it's more like a bowl, it's more like a bowl formation, where I have all my melee units down the middle, and then I kind of try to like diagonal my archers to the left and the right, so that they kind of walk into it, as you can see here, look, and then I'll generally put maybe some melee fighters like in the front of them, so they don't get attacked and stuff, and then I have my catapults in the back. And so that's generally my kind of my tactic, because it means that the enemy kind of have to like go into the melee fighters, but at the same time they're also already getting attacked by archers, but then while they're fighting the melee units, they're getting shot by archers. Now, you do have that kind of worry where the archers may shoot your own units, so I generally then try and reassign them to shoot the enemies in the back. I try and make sure that my own soldiers aren't getting kind of like stacked on by my own archers at the same time. So you've got all those little tactics to think about, but it's really, really fun. And then you also have like some Hog Riders, which are really cool. So I generally have these like ranger kind of like cavalry, which are kind of like orcs on hogs with like giant saber like blade things. And basically what I do with those is I send them around the back, and if they have like a ranged unit like the enemy, which I believe these guys have like a archer kind of like range unit, I send them around the back and try and take them out, because what they can do is they can just kind of like skirt and flank around your units and just shoot while like running on these little like hog things. They've got like hog, or maybe they're wolves, they may be wolf riders actually. So this is my little tactic, look, this is how I work it. And I do this in the later battle and I completely win, which was awesome, which was fun. Now, with that being said too, you can actually turn the tide of battle with your faction leader. So your orc, your hero orc, actually has a major stake in the battles and the overall campaign too. They actually change a lot of stuff. So like, it kind of like reminds me of, again, Shogun. I don't think it was Shogun Total War 2 though that brought this into it. I think it was one of the expansion packs to Shogun. It might have been like the Rise of the Mongols or something. And in that one, what you could do was you could actually acquire hero units through that, and those hero units could actually inspire. And this is the thing with Total War Warhammer, your heroes are all about inspiring your units, like everything that surrounds you. Like basically each hero unit has like a dome that goes around them, and that is kind of like inspiring, you know, whoever's within it to like fight better, faster, stronger. You know, it's like a Daft Punk soundtrack in a way. Look, this is my little tactic. Like, it's so cool, it's so awesome, and look, it's firing from all sides. Now this enemy unit does actually have archers as well, so it's this thing of like I have to try and like move myself, but that is kind of like the way that I play it. I think it's very, very good. Like you can see very close in like all the orcs moving together and stuff. There are some animation issues that I found, especially when the enemy units are running away, where they'll kind of just like not fight each other. Like the health will go down, but they're not actually fighting, which is kind of unusual. Really epic battle though. And anyway, so when it comes to like the hero units, you have to try and keep those hero units fighting at all times, because they are kind of like leading the charge. They are inspiring your team not to retreat, because obviously if you're getting your ass kicked, your team is going to actually end up running away and stuff like that. But the hero can actually inspire, so they can actually level up and actually have different abilities that will buff and kind of like augment your team while in mid-fight, like give them more melee damage, or maybe regenerate some of their health, or actually keep their morale up. And you actually see them fighting here. Like, so I've got my orc like hero versus their orc hero, and it's really cool. I really like that idea. It's kind of like this thing where you can like, it's kind of like your avatar in a way. This dude is your avatar. You can actually have more of these. There are actually more hero units in the game, and they all have actual skill trees, so you actually level them up through the fighting, and they can have different things. They can even have loot and gear. So when I actually fight this dude here and defeat him in battle, I end up getting like a sword, I believe. And so even though the character doesn't hold the sword, he always just has his hammer. Like, their kind of like character model is who they are. They don't change in appearance or anything like that, which is a little bit of a shame, I know. But like gear wise, they can actually have different bits of loot that you can attach to them, which will give them special qualities, maybe special abilities, and they can even level up. They can even have different abilities of themselves, which they can use to either fight or they can inspire, which I think is really cool. So you can actually have the hero turn the tide of battle if you want. They can even fight the battle by themselves if you level them up enough. Like, there was one time when I was playing the game where I ended up having a city that was, and this is the thing, this is when I was learning about how the actual orcs kind of like run the cities and how they kind of work when it comes to their economy and their occupancy of towns, is that I had one city and I didn't have enough units to kind of like hold it, so I had like a hero just sitting on it, and then an army with about 400 orcs came to the city to try and take it down, but there was a hero in it, and I ended up thinking, oh well, the hero can't get out of there, he's just gonna die now, which is a bit of a shame, but it's fine, you know, I'll just sacrifice him and we'll see what happens. And so I ended up auto-resolving, and he won. He killed 400 orcs by himself. Well, not 400, but he kind of destroyed the majority of the army. And that was a low level, like, he hadn't leveled up at all, this character. And so it was this thing where I wish I'd seen that or experienced it for myself, that the heroes can be strong enough to actually hold their own in a fight. And it's one of these things where I'm not too sure how he pulled off killing, like, just near 400, but it's a badass, like prospect, you know, of that kind of thing where your heroes can actually be heroes. They can actually stand out. They can actually be these characters that you expect to actually, you know, stand above the rest and be able to like pwn everything. And so I'm quite curious about like experimenting and see how that goes in the game. Really awesome, really, really fun. But the next battle, though, this is the next one. So as you can see there, look on the bottom, you can like choose to take them captive. You can, you know, slaughter them all, which gives you leadership, or you can eat them. I believe maybe I choose to eat, or maybe it was leadership for this one. I go for slaughter. Which one am I going to pick? I go for... look, I'm indecisive. I don't know which one to pick. I don't... It's going to be what... Oh, I'm going to go for... Oh, leadership. So I kill some of them when they run away, so they lose some of their units again. So it's kind of like having a reward to yourself, like, what would you like to do to punish this enemy unit, this enemy army, to, you know, from losing to you. And so you get the choice. You can either give them some of their units back for some money, or you can kill some of their units, which means that they lose some units even more until you fight them again, or you can, you know, like, eat them. Which means that they lose some units too. So what you're going to see next is you're going to see their backup unit come in and try and like help them, and obviously I've just had a fight, I've lost some of my units, so I should be replenishing. You can only replenish your units in the kind of like province that you own. So if you're in like an enemy province, you're not actually going to be able to get any of your units back. There's no replenishment. You have to actually go in there because of how you're supposed to support yourself. So here comes their support unit. As you can see by the bar in the middle, which is yellow and red, I am completely outnumbered. They have way more than I do, and how am I supposed to stop this? But we're going to go for it. This is going to be me risking it all. You know, I might as well give it a go. So this is their full army. It's pretty much like... This is their main set, which is pretty much equal to mine. Like, I have the catapults, I guess. I have a lot of spearmen, so like I actually have weaker units to them than they do to me. So like I have loads of little Gretchen spearmen, which are kind of like the cheapest. Like I try to like put as many on as possible, and they're gonna have the backup army coming on from the left, look, and then you're gonna have the main force coming from the front. And so what I do here is, instead of having them all kind of like surrounded, you know, where there's like ability of flanking, I shove myself in the corner, I reform myself, which is really, really awesome, and I'm able to actually win. I just love that fact that I'm able to actually stomp the enemy team, you know, from two different armies. That's so cool. They're so confident that other teams like, oh, I'm gonna get my revenge thanks to my bro coming to back me up. But no, dear friend, I'm able to win. I win this battle. So awesome, so fantastic. Comment section below though, let me know, what do you think to Total War Warhammer? Would love to know. Are you excited to play it? Is this the kind of theme for like a Total War game that you've been looking forward to? Like you've already had like the realistic type ones, like with Rome, you've had, you know, the samurai one, or Japan, you know, and then you've had like the Civil War, and I mean maybe it'll be like a military one. I don't know how that would work though, because generally soldiers don't really work in formation anymore. Like how you'd make like a modern day one work, I'm not too sure. But I do think that Warhammer is the perfect fit for this game, and they've actually really changed up the gameplay dynamic as well, making how it works, you know, like feel unique to all the factions, and I really like that. I really like that. I really appreciate that. I think it's something that I can, you know, really get behind, and I really can't wait to play as the other factions. You actually have the Orcs, you have humans, dwarves, vampires. The vampires look really cool. I'm quite curious to see how they work in daytime. And then finally you have the Chaos. Now I'm not too sure about the Chaos, because the Chaos are kind of like a locked faction. I think they're DLC, which is kind of annoying. You can fight them in the game, though they are kind of like an always present force that actually affect your armies and stuff as well, which I won't get into in this video. But I hope you enjoy this battle. This is really, really cool. It's been me, Joshua, OnlySP, showing you some Total War Warhammer, and I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.
Are approaching. Attack with caution, Commander. Move out, lads!
Here we go! Please me! Nice bit of sweating!
Better than them! Running!
Oh, what's that? Nice bit of scrapping! Oh, boys!
The lads are ready! Moving!
Jumpers ready! The Black Orcs will win! Oh, boys! Have it! the green tide!
Smash him up!
There, boys! Time for slaughtering!